Hello everyone. In today's video, we are going to talk about microservices explained simply for beginners. Myself, Mohammad Zubair, and this channel is all about showing you how to become a highly paid IT pro really fast. So without any further ado, let's get started. Well, first of all, we'll talk about what microservices are, how they work, and what types of applications use them. Then we'll move towards the architecture of the microservices. Then we'll talk about the benefits of microservices. And at the end, we'll say what type of microservices do we have. So first of all, let's start with microservices, what they are, and what type of application uses them. Well, microservices is a buzzword for a lot of people, and almost everyone wants to develop their application using the microservices. Well, if we talk about the traditional software or application development, we used to write the code for the whole system at a single place, and it was becoming more and more difficult to manage the code as the sizes of the application started to increase. And serious problems occurred when we tried to change the code or when we wanted to add a functionality in the already built system. And as the code was tightly coupled, so there was a lot of dependencies in it. And same goes for the testing process. So as those traditional systems were costly and difficult to modify and update, we went on towards the better approaches. And eventually we got to different architectures, design patterns, etc. Like MVC is one of them. In MVC, we divide the system in three parts named as Model View Controller. So with the help of these architecture and design patterns, the development of huge systems became easier. Then we got the microservices concept. So let's dig deep into it and let's see what it is. Well, basically, microservices is an architecture pattern that is a service oriented, and with the help of it, we build apps as a collection of various smallest independent units, and each unit performs and offers different service. We decompose the whole application by following the approach of software engineering, and we decompose it in such a way that we have single function in each module and they have well-defined interfaces. And we can also develop those modules independently and develop them as stand-alone system. Microservices originated from traditional monolithic system. So before moving ahead, first of all, we need to understand that what a monolithic application is. Well, a monolithic applications are designed in such a way that they can handle multiple related tasks at once. For example, let's take an e-commerce system. In that system, we have catalog service, payment service, and let's think of it as a SaaS application. Then it can have more functionalities like the load balancer, web portal, ordering system, etc. So we can see that a single system has a huge scope and covering a huge number of functionalities. Now let's think of it from the development point of view. Well, obviously it is going to have huge code given the scope. And what if you need to make a small change in the system? For that, we have to recompile and retest the whole system. And obviously, it is going to take a lot of time and the resources. And what if the person who is going to commit a change is the new member of the team? It can cause a lot of issues as he or she has to understand the system first, and then he or she will be able to make any change in the system successfully. This is where microservices comes into play. If we compare it to monolithic approach, with the help of microservices, we can deploy the application as small pieces of independent applications that are independent of each other. And they are loosely coupled but are tied together with the application integration. If we take the development and software engineering perspective, microservices are simpler to develop as they have small scope. That is why they are small in size. Their size and scope make it easier for the developer to make improvements in them. With the help of continuous integration and continuous delivery. Microservices are independent of any programming language, and we can develop them in any programming language. Different microservices are connected together with the help of APIs, and we have talked about the difference between microservices and APIs in detail in one of our other videos. Now let's talk about the architecture of microservices. Well, microservices architecture is the development style in which we are allowed to build application as the collection of small independent services for the same business, and all the services are loosely coupled with each other. The microservice architecture have the fine-grained service and lightweight protocols. Let's understand this phenomena in a better way with an example. Well, in an e-commerce application where we use the microservices, Each microservice will be focused on single business goal like catalog search, payment, rating, add to cart, etc. And each service will have its own instance and they will communicate with each other. Now let's talk about its benefits. First of all, it is independent. We can develop each service as independently and we can deploy it independently as well. And it means we will need less time to modify and test the system as we know that where we need to do the modification and where we need testing. Then comes loose coupling. With the help of microservices, the system becomes loosely coupled as we tend to make sure there are no dependencies between different services of the system, and that is why it is easier for the developer and testers to modify and test the system. Then comes team size. As microservices are small in size, we need small size of team to develop and maintain them, and that ensures we do not need a lot of resources as well. Then comes agility. While as microservices are small application and the development teams develop them independently, teams can be more focused on the problem, and because of that, the teams can achieve the agility. Then comes improved fault tolerance. Well, large applications remains unaffected by the failure of a single module, and as all the modules are working independently, will not have any problem. Then comes eliminate vendor or technology dependencies. Well, that is a very big advantage, as microservices offers the flexibility to try and work out a new technology on an individual service as needed, so there won't be as many dependencies and rolling back changes become much easier. And as now we have to deal with less code in play, we have more flexibility. Then comes the scalability. Well, as we have separate services, we can easily scale the most needed ones as priority at the appropriate times. And we can also scale our applications with the independent microservices without any dependency. When we do it correctly, this will help in cost saving. That was all about the advantages. Now let's talk about the type of microservices. Well, there are two types of microservices, and first one is stateless and the second one is stateful. Let's talk about stateless first. Well, this type of service acts as the foundation for the distributed system. These type of services are recommended to use when we have the distributed system. And as the name suggests, this type of service does not maintain the session state in between the different requests. It means it just takes the request, processes it, and sends the response back without persisting any information about the state. Now let's talk about stateful. As we know that microservices are independent of each other, and when two microservices communicate with each other, they maintain the service request state as it stores the session information. It is good to use stateful microservices when there is a need to store the session information. And that was all about the stateful microservices. And that also brings me to the end of this video. I hope now you have an idea that what microservices are, why do we use them, what are its different benefits, and what type of applications can use microservices. And I also hope now that you must have liked and loved watching this video. If that is the case, do leave a like, subscribe and press the bell icon. And if you have anything to ask, leave a comment below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And don't forget to check out our channel as we have new videos coming up every day for you. And with that, I'll get back to you in the next video. Till then, take care.